In this presentation, I'm now going to show you how to go and take your factor analysis that you received when doing the exploratory factor analysis and then do a reliability analysis on each of the factors that were created in that statistical process. So by the end of this lesson, you'll understand at least the concept of reliability, why it's important to survey research, and then how to report a Cronbach's alpha in your text. We're going to refer back to this research scenario and that it was an 8-year producer-led project, and the community coordinator needed to gain the trust of the farmers in the area because he was trying to initiate change within individual farming operations and the attitudes those individuals would have toward agriculture and water management. And the study was able to determine 3 factors: relationship maturity, individual customer focus, and transparent and honest, for determining how to measure the trust-related behaviors. Now that we know those 3 factors, we need to go one step further and actually do a factor analysis. The construct validity of the questionnaire can be tested now. The exploratory factor analysis can detect the constructs or factors that underlie a data set based on the correlations between the variables. In order to conduct a reliable factor analysis, we need to make sure we had a really good sample size, and then we also need to make sure that the items actually measure what they're supposed to measure and create that reliability you need before administering your survey instrument to your study participants. And so what you need to remember is that to do a Cronbach's alpha, which is the most common type of reliability analysis and SPSS for survey instruments, you need to have all of the variables measured on a continuous scale. So they need to be either interval or ratio. So if you have all of those constructs under one factor, those are simply just ordinal data because you're measuring it on a scale of 1 to 5, a Likert scale, from 1 strongly disagree to 5 strongly agree. But if you were to summate and create an average score or summate the score of those items together, and then you also create the factors average that combines the means of all of the items within that factor, you can do a reliability analysis. So you need to remember that you have to have multiple items in your scale. You can never have just one item in a construct. You need at least 2, and usually you might see a weakness within that item with 2 items in it because it's not very many to measure that factor, but you'll usually see 2 to anywhere to 7 or 8 items that can be in one factor. So SPSS does use a different terminology. I would use item when I'm referring to variables. So if I have 8 variables in SPSS, those are 8 items that you are using to do a reliability analysis. And then when the items are grouped together, you're now allowed to refer to it as a scale. And questionnaires can contain multiple scales to measure a construct. So you can have a construct like trust-related behaviors, and within that huge construct, you can have sub-scales. And we found that we have 3 sub-scales. We have the trust and honest, we have the individual customer service, and we have the relationship maturity. So occasionally when you collect your data, you will notice that good survey writers will use a mixture of positively worded and negatively worded items when designing their construct. And it's just to ensure that the actual survey participant is reading each individual item separately and then giving you an honest answer in how they rank that statement on a level of agreement or on another Likert type scale. So, before you can do a reliability analysis, you are going to have to do some recoding. And you would have to make sure that your negatively worded items are coded with the negative numbers, and that your positively coded word items are related to those positive numbers. So you actually reverse code. So if you had a negatively worded item like I had good on one side and bad on the other, and the scale went 1 to 5. Well, I don't want bad to be a 5 if my other scale items were measured positively with a 5. So I'll reverse code it. I'll have 5 become a 1, a 2 become a 4, and I'll change a 4 to a 2. I'm very fortunate that in the survey I've done, I already did all of that recoding before I even did my factor analysis to make life much easier when doing the factor analysis as well as the reliability analysis. So let me walk you through what you do with the SPSS file now that you have the content. So here we have the SPSS file. And what you're going to do is go to Analyze, and then you go to Scale, and you go to Reliability Analysis. Now, the big thing you're going to have to make sure you do is make sure you pool each item correctly. So, our very first item is transparent and honest, and has 4 items. And so I have to grab each one of those items. Doesn't disclose others. Does not badmouth. Get the right things done. Take responsibility for one's actions. Okay. I'm going to now give it a scale label, so I'll just say transparent and honest reliability scale. Then I'll come to statistics, and I can do item, the scale, and the scale if item deleted. I'll also do my correlations. You can do covariances if you want. You don't need to ask for the mean or the variances or the covariances or the correlations here because you would already have had all that information from doing the factor analysis. So you can save yourself time and effort. You'll click OK. And then what we're going to do is run the other items. So we'll go to Analyze, we'll go Scale, we'll do our next factor of items. Okay. So this next one is relationship maturity. And I'll make sure to change it right now. And we have 3 items. The first is are open and direct about problems. Then we have address the tough stuff or the issues directly. And then lastly, we have doesn't break confidences. The statistics will be saved from your previous reliability analysis, so you can just click OK. And then we'll do our last one. We'll come here, we'll do the scale, go to reliability. We're going to move these back over. And we're going to do our very last one. And that's the individual customer focus. and we only have 2 items for the scale. So we have to find develop feedback systems for both formal and informal, and then find out what the most important behaviors are to you. And you'll see the statistics are the same. They're saved. Click OK. That's our analysis. Now let's go back into the PDF file and we'll look at the presentation and how to interpret those reliability analyses. So it's really important for you to understand that there's a natural process here. The first thing you do is you always make sure you run your Chromebox Office. And you're going to now interpret the item total statistics. And if we see the reliability go up after deleting an item, that's a bad thing to have, and you'll delete that item. If we see that the reliability would go down if we delete the item, it's a good item and we keep it. If you need to drop a few items, you do so. You rerun the reliability analysis, you check all the results, you will continue to drop more if you need to, and you just see that the Chromebox software either goes up or goes down depending on which items you delete. And then when you have your final set of items, you run a reliability analysis with that final set, and if it's a good reliability, you can use those within your questionnaire. So let's take a look at our output. This is for our transparent and honest scale. We have a Chromebox alpha of 0.885. And in a user-developed survey or questionnaire, it's about 0.7, where it starts to become acceptable, it's understandable, that's okay, but higher would be better. So 0.8 and 0.9 would be a better analysis for that reliability of the scale. And if you look here, and you see here, Chromebox alpha if item deleted. We will notice that if you delete any of these 4 items, that the Chromebox alpha actually decreases. So we don't want to remove any of them. Our construct as it is appropriate, and we will use it to administer the survey. So we'll move on. We'll do the same here with the relationship maturity scale. You'll notice that we had a Chromebox alpha as 0.855. We have the 3 items. You will see the scale mean if it's deleted. Then you'll see your Chromebox alphas. Now this would decrease it, this would decrease it, this increases it slightly. But you're also sacrificing the opportunity to measure 1 item for a very little value or benefit to that. So I would keep it and know that you have a construct that has a reliability Chromebox alpha of 0.86, and that is appropriate for your research. The 0.86 is no less or worse than what you would have with a 0.89 if you were to eliminate this item, so there's no sense in doing it. Now with our last item, we're measuring the individual's customer focus, and we only have 2 items. So if you look at it, our Chromebox alpha is 0.849, which already we cannot eliminate either one of these options because you cannot have a construct that has only 1 item in the construct. So you're going to use it as is and make no changes to this scale. Now, you may wonder, how do you report this since we have multiple constructs within this study? You can do it easily within 1 sentence or 2 sentences within a journal article or your master's thesis. Here's an example of how I would report this data for a journal article. An overall 0.89 alpha was found acceptable for the transparent and honest construct. The constructs for relationship maturity and individual customer service had high reliabilities, comma, Chromebox alpha equals 0.86 and 0.85, comma, respectively. You have to have that word respectively there so that they understand that the 0.86 relates back to relationship maturity and that 0.85 relates back to individual customer service. but it's a really easy way to present your data and not have so many sentences that makes it more challenging for your reader to understand. If you have any questions or comments, here are two articles that I find really beneficial that discuss the use of Chromebox Alphas in our disciplines of agricultural communications, agricultural education, and extension education. And you can access those online, but you can also reach out to me and provide comments or questions to kelsey.hall@usu.edu or through Canvas inbox.